Welcome back to the Hawkeye Garage. I am Joe, again filming on vacation. I don't know, just we have some R&R time and feeling inspired finally to make some videos about the GX build, the off-road build, because we've been able to use some of the features on it and has brought some of the videos that I was planning on making kind of to life because we've been utilizing the mods that I'm making videos about. Anyway, I'm going to talk to you guys today about the wiring setup that I've got for my refrigerator in the back here. If you go, I've got lots of videos on refrigerators and the wiring that I did on my 4Runner when I had it, my 4th gen, and even the first mod for the wiring of the GX with like the cigarette lighter adapter and the voltmeter and stuff. Well, I've since kind of upgraded that just a little bit, and it's working so much better. So this really applies to pretty much any vehicle that you're going to want to put a refrigerator in. This is not GX specific, and it's been awesome. So I'm going to turn the camera around and I'm going to talk real quick about what I've done and how it has been an improvement. Okay, so on this trip, I've got the New Air dual zone 80 quart fridge freezer. I have videos on this. We opted to take the bigger refrigerator on this trip because we are at an Airbnb. We brought a lot of food with us because we knew we weren't going to be really close to any types of grocery stores, and probably once we headed out for activities for the day, we were going to be gone all day. So we have lunches and snacks in here, plus like I said, we brought a bunch of stuff in. We made one major grocery trip since we've been here, packed it full of stuff. That's why we took the big one, and it is big. It takes up like half of the trunk space. What I have done, let's jump right into it. I reran the wiring straight from the battery. I used a 10 gauge wire with a 20 amp inline fuse. Most of these refrigerators have inline fuses. This one actually does not. My other one does have a 15 amp. I threw a 20 amp in it because that's what I had with me. Was a little bit bigger. I don't know the exact specifics on how that's going to change the power supply. I'm just telling you what I've done. 20 amp fuse, 10 gauge wire back here. Now this plug, let's see, is actually, so it's just a 2-prong plug. It only goes in one way. It's specific, positive and negative. It's actually for solar panels, but I picked these up off Amazon. Of course, I've cut and spliced onto the power cord for the refrigerator. I actually did this mod in my 4th gen 4Runner, but I did not use a 10 gauge wire. I think I used 12, 14 gauge. So I ran that back to this, and then I've spliced off of the 10 gauge to go down here to run my cigarette lighter adapter socket and the voltmeter. The reason I went ahead and did that was I used like, I don't even know what gauge it was, 16 gauge wire I think the first time, just because that's what I had on hand and I needed to get this stuff installed. Whether it was this refrigerator or my 40 quart Costway refrigerator, it wasn't killing the battery. The refrigerator just was not running. No matter what settings I had it on, high, medium, low, econ, max, which basically kind of dictates how aggressively the compressor kicks on and starts cooling. It would last a little while, and then as soon as it would kick on, it would start pulling voltage. And even though the battery read that it had tons of voltage, there just wasn't enough to get that compressor going and staying going. So I opted to do the wiring, upgrade the plug in hopes that it would work, and it did. Did it ever? When I first did that, I was doing testing at home. We actually had a few days where we weren't going anywhere other than me going to work in the other cars, so I could leave the refrigerator on at night, and then I had Mrs. HSW coming out and like giving me voltage reports and temperature readings and stuff on the refrigerators. And during those tests, I set the refrigerators to 33 degrees because apparently it seems to me in my testing, setting it 1 degree above the 32 freezing threshold. Now, the temperatures fluctuate, obviously. Seems to pull a lot less power, but of course keeps everything cold. And I had the settings set to the economy, so the compressors theoretically kind of come online a little bit more gradually. They pull a little less voltage as they are running, but they run a little bit longer during that cooling cycle. I also had them cold before I plugged them in to the car, and of course the car had a good battery charge on it and everything. I used the Causeway refrigerator first because it's smaller and it worked awesome, and we left the car 18 hours without running, and it still kept it in that 33 degree range, give or take like 5 degrees, while it was running or not running. And then we bumped it up to the big boy, the 80 quart here, and again, I think the max we left this was 20 hours without starting the car with only like a couple cans of pop in it. You know, it wasn't like it was packed full of cold stuff, so it was a lot easier for it to stay cooled. At that 33 degree mark on the economy level, and car still started perfectly fine. And I understand that obviously a bigger wire is going to supply more voltage, and I think that plug has better contact points, so again, more voltage. I didn't think it would make that big of a difference, and it really did. So if you're wanting to run a car refrigerator and you're kind of worried about that, or you're having issues with your current setup, all I have is a bigger AGM battery. It was like the biggest one that I could fit basically in the stock location. It was like $10 or $20 more than the suggested size AGM battery. Got it from Walmart. And then the wiring, upgrading that wiring, which of course, you know, took 20 minutes or whatever to run the wiring. It took longer to pull like all the little interior trim panels than it did to actually do the wiring. So if you're wanting to run a refrigerator in your vehicle, this is definitely the way to go, in my opinion. 10 gauge wire, bigger the wire the better. Basically 10 gauge is kind of like the easiest, biggest size to worry about making corners and getting crimp-on fittings or solder-on fittings that are easily usable at the ends, at the battery end, at the plug end. So I'm just so happy that this has been working, and working so incredibly well. I will drop a link to the plugs that I've been using. They're just from Amazon down below. And yeah, other than that, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to drop them down below, or email me more extensive stuff, hawkeyeskunkworks@gmail.com. So that pretty much wraps the video up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and turn those notifications on. We drop a video pretty much every Sunday, at least that's the goal. Times may vary, and this is a lot of the stuff that we do, DIY off-roading type stuff on a budget, and you know, a little bit of trial and error. Like I said, I did this first with some other wiring. It was not working. Decided to do this in hopes that it would work, and again, boy has it ever. So follow the links in the description down below. Head on over to Instagram and Facebook and follow me over there, where I post much more frequently. Yeah, until the next video drops, thank you for watching. Take care. Goodbye.